Just thinking. Okay, there we go. All right, so for class today, we wanted to focus on grooming. So I've got a few different dogs in professional training that are at different comfort levels with their grooming skills, and we will pull them out shortly. As we've got more folks joining, I will ask you guys to please turn your cameras off because otherwise your video will show up in our recording. And as much as we love you and seeing your beautiful faces, I don't think you want to be in the recording of puppy class. So when we are talking about grooming, our big theme is cooperation. Grooming doesn't necessarily become something that the dog enjoys. That would be fantastic if it did. But for some dogs, it turns into more of tolerating and, going along with the motions, which is totally fine. But our goal is to have that dog be as comfortable as possible with every piece of the grooming process. And that includes bathing, ears, nails, teeth, brushing, everything you can think of with having to physically manipulate that dog. We want them to be as comfortable as possible. We've had a couple more folks join here. Looks like I've got Janice, Kathy, and William whose cameras are turned on. If you could please turn those off for me, that would be fantastic, because otherwise your videos are going to show up in our recording. All right, there we go. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. All right, so before I grab out one of the dogs, we're going to do a quick Reader's Digest on what a grooming routine entails. And I've got my grooming box over here, so I'm moving it down. So when we're thinking about our grooming routine, there are some things that we want to do daily, some things we want to do weekly, and some things we want to do monthly. The only thing that's really on a monthly basis is bathing. It can go a little bit in between, a little bit shorter, depending on, obviously if puppy jumps in a mud puddle, we're going to need to have a bath before we next go out in public. But about once a month is best to keep them clean and presentable while also not impacting the natural oils on their coat. Looks like we just had Karen joined us. Karen, do you mind turning your video off for us? Thank you very much. Perfect. So that's bathing. We want to make sure that it's a dog shampoo, not a human shampoo. It's going to have a different pH balance. We're getting some background noise, guys, if everyone doesn't mind muting their mics as they join. Here we go. I think we're good. So we want to make sure that it's a dog shampoo since it is formulated a little bit differently from human shampoos. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. For my personal dogs, I love an oatmeal one because it makes them nice and soft. That's a personal preference thing. There we go. Looks like Bonnie, if you don't, there we go. As everybody's joining and turning their videos on and off. So then the things that are happening more frequently are the things that we want to work on daily and weekly. On a daily basis, you're going to want to give them a once-over. Do we have any little cuts? Check those paws, make sure there's not something stuck up in between their toes. Does everything look normal? Learn what the baseline is on that puppy so that one day you're not going, is that new or has that been there for a while and I just missed it? Because if you already know what your puppy's normal is, you will notice when something is outside the norm. It's also a great idea to brush them every day. If you do keep up with that brushing, I promise it does impact the amount of shedding that happens. Not to say that there isn't going to be shedding, but if you just give them a quick once over with, this is my favorite brush for that. It's called a Zoom Groom. It's made by Kong. It's just a nice soft rubber. And it's kind of like a horse curry comb. You can go in any direction. It's very soft. Even if I'm rubbing really hard on my skin, it's not uncomfortable at all. And that's just going to pull any of that hair up to the top and again, minimize the shedding that's happening around your home. The other thing you're going to want to do on a daily basis is brush their teeth. So any toothbrush works, but especially ones that are for kids are a little bit softer are usually easier, but you could just get it off the shelf at any grocery store, you're going to be just fine. The toothpaste, you do want to make sure that it is a dog-specific toothpaste. We also encourage you to look for ones that say they are enzymatic. Those enzymes are going to help break down stuff that's in the dog's mouth even after you're done with the physical brushing. Not 100% necessary, but if you really want to make sure you're getting a good one, go for the enzymatic ones. We tend to use Verbac CET brand. That is the sample that, at least in the Northwest region, that's the sample that you get in your puppy pack. That could be different in other regions, but that tends to be our favorite on the campus here. But again, any dog-safe shampoo and or dog-safe toothpaste and ones that are in particular enzymatic are fantastic. So then that brings us to the weekly grooming tasks, and that's going to be their ears and their nails. For ears, most of the time you're just going to use some dry cotton. This is just plain old cotton. We get it in a big roll here since we go through a lot of it. You could also get cotton rounds, cotton balls, whatever you prefer, but it's nothing special, nothing fancy. It's just nice, soft cotton. I'm also going to use it dry. There's an unusual odor. Okay, we might need to talk to the vet about that. We might have an infection going on. Also, if there's a lot of really dark, sticky, gross discharge in those ears, again, we're probably going to need to call the vet. It's probably an actual infection. Same thing with redness. Even if there's not a lot of gunk in there, if you flip up their ear and it's bright red, unfortunately, that's an infection too. But most of the time, you're going to flip up that ear flap and go, okay, yeah, there's a little bit in there. I'm going to take my little piece of dry cotton, give it a little wipe. If there are a couple of spots that are real sticky and not wanting to come out, you can put a little bit of ear cleaner on the cotton and then wipe their ear, but we don't want to squirt stuff directly into the ear if we can avoid it, because that's going to turn into them being more avoidant of that. And we'll go into that a little bit more when we actually have the dogs out, but that's the Reader's Digest version. And then the last piece is nails. There's a few different positions that you can trim their nails in. We will demonstrate a few of those. You can also use either the clippers like this or a Dremel tool like this, and we will also show you what both of those look like. And for some of our fluffier friends, there is actually a whole video recording on the Canine Companions community about long-haired dog grooming. So if you are raising a fluffy thing, I highly encourage you to watch that. But we also have, these ones are very big, but a pair of grooming shears. They're a little curved, so that makes it a little safer so that you're not going to accidentally poke the dog with anything. But you can trim up the hair between their paw pads or along their ears or whatever you need to do with that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to bring over our first special guest. This dog is very, very easy for grooming. She is a total sweetheart. It goes very smoothly with her. So she is kind of our shining star of what we would like grooming to look like with a dog that's about to graduate. So I am going to grab her. Good girl. Okay. I'm going to do my best not to use names since these guys are in professional training. So even though I did say that she is really fantastic with grooming, she does not know me. We do not have a relationship. Coming in blind with her. I just opening up the chat here, so if anything comes up, here we go. So I'm going to still make sure that I'm going slow. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting consent from her to continue with all of these different aspects and try to watch her body language the whole time. Right now, body language is very relaxed, very neutral. She jumped up here super easy. She's doing a little sniffing. She gave me some tail wags. This is what I want to see at the beginning of grooming. She is just chilling. She does not care one bit that she is up on this table with this person that she really doesn't know. Come here, sweets. So I'm going to start out with that Zoom Groom brush. And like I said, it can kind of go in any direction. And this is fantastic that she's just standing here. She really doesn't care. You think you like that? Yes, you do. Giving me a couple of kisses. Good job, girlie. And I can go down and get her little pants around her bum. The nice thing about this Zoom Groom being so soft is that I can even go down her legs. There's not much that I'm going to get off of those legs, but it really doesn't matter which direction that I'm brushing her, what area of the body I'm brushing her, because it's nice and soft. It's not going to potentially scratch her or anything like that. And again, looking at her body language, she's extremely neutral right now. We got nice loose tail wags. She's kind of looking around. She noticed that Dana's here in the back of the room, but she's not really impressed by anything. She's not really concerned by anything. This is fantastic. If we got a question here. Could we use a dog that has problems also? Yes, we have one of those waiting in the wings. We're starting off with our easy girl, and then we will go to our one who doesn't love it quite so much. All right, so that is our brushing. Then I'm going to move on and check her ears. I also have my food on me here because, again, I want her to be cooperative and consenting through all of this. So I am doing my best not to have to physically manipulate her at all. So I'm going to look in those ears. I don't smell anything. There's a little bit of gunk in there, but very, very normal for what I would expect. Same thing as we get earwax, so do they. So I'm going to tear off a little piece of that cotton. Good girl. Give it a little swipe, and I'll show you guys. There's a little bit of brown stuff on there, not very much. That's pretty typical. Good job. And again, I'm rewarding her every step of the way. Get up. So you can see right there, she ducked away from me a little bit. She's still standing here. She didn't try to escape, but she does kind of duck her head just a little bit. So I can give her a couple extra food rewards. Good girl. And then give her some praise. Good job, lady. Very good. Now, to do the other ear, I'm going to toss this and grab a new piece of cotton because if she does have an ear infection brewing, I don't want to accidentally move it from one side to the other. And now she's got both sides. Oh, thank you. That's a nice paw, sweetheart. Good girl. So again, we'll give it a little swipe. That one came out perfectly clean. There wasn't anything in that ear. Good job. Yeah, thank you. Good girl. Good girl. So again, we had a little bit of a duck away with the head, but she's still having a good time. She's wanting to figure out how can I get the treats. She's still being very neutral, hanging out here. She's given me a lot of eye contact. She is doing fantastic with this grooming routine. Right, baby? Next one is brushing her teeth. So I know, do you like that? Yeah. She's very familiar with this. She gets her teeth brushed every day. So as soon as I picked up that toothbrush, she started to get excited. If I were starting this out with a baby puppy, I'm probably just going to put a little toothpaste on my finger and just rub it under their gums to start them getting used to having stuff in their mouth. But again, she is very, very good with this. So I'm putting a little toothpaste on there. I know you're so excited. And I can go along the outside of her teeth on this side. Try to get both the tops and the bottoms. Get those beautiful canines. And she is being so good with this. My hand is here kind of holding her face in place, but it's very gentle. It's just support. I'm not really holding on to her muzzle. This is exactly what we want to see for that toothbrushing, where she is actually enjoying it. It's yummy chicken flavored. And she is very, very cooperative throughout all of this. This is so good, baby. Good girl. Nice job. You want to lick it? Yeah. Good job, kiddo. All right. And then the last piece of our routine is her nails. Like I said, there's a few different ways that we can trim her nails. Since I've got her up on the table here, I'll show you the kind of standing ways first. So I could, hang on, let me scoot you a little bit. Pick her feet up kind of like a horse hoof. So flipping them up this way, I can take a peek at those nails. It also kind of gives me a way to support her. Again, I'm trying not to really restrain her, but I don't want her to wander off. So having a hand either over or under her belly here, her head is kind of nestled into my armpit. It just gives me a way to make sure she's staying fairly still while I look at those nails. Good job. And she pulled away a little bit, so I'm going to give her some food. And I'm not going to actually trim these because they look pretty short, my love. But if I were to trim them, I can see, oh, this one has a little bit we can take off. That we can just take off those itty bitty bits as I'm looking at her at this angle. Good job, kiddo. And then I mentioned those curved scissors. She's not a fluffy dog, so she doesn't have very much. But they do sometimes have a little hair in between their paws. And especially, again, with those fluffies, you can give that a little trim just to keep it nice and neat. and so that it's less likely to get anything stuck in there when you're out and about. Good job. Same thing with her back feet. Oh, you naughty. She just tried to stick her nose in my paint bag. There you go. I can pick that foot up, kind of tip it backwards so I can see where those nails are. Good girl. And again, her body language is fantastic throughout this. She is nice and loose. She's nice and relaxed. That is exactly what we want to see with these guys. We have a kitty and a trainer saying hi through the window. Another way I could trim her nails is just like this. She offers me this paw right here. We can trim, trim, trim. I could also have her lie down. Good girl. And I'm not going to have her go all the way into a roll upside down, but I can lure her over so that she's laying relaxed on her side. And I can also do her nails like this. So there's lots of options if either the dog doesn't like to cradle or if you have physical trouble with that cradling. Good job. But the most common is, of course, cradling. Oh, wow, you jumped right back up. And right back up. Move this away a little bit so you guys can see the floor here. So when I am going to get her into a cradle, again, she really doesn't have a relationship with me, so we'll see what she thinks. Watching that body language again, looking for cooperation. I don't want to force her into anything. So I'm just kind of inviting her. I can show her with the leash where I want her to go. And as you can see, she is very comfortable with this. She comes and lies down right in between my legs, very easy. And I can lure her around. Once she's kind of down on her side, I can help her out, flip her up into that cradle position. But you could see that she was very cooperative throughout that entire thing. This was not a wrestling match. This was not me forcing her into this position. I just kind of gave her a little help at that final step there. Good job. And then her body language here is nice and loose too. Her tail is wagging pretty loosely. Her paws are floppy. She's looking up at me nice and happy. She's eating food. These are all the things that we want to see for a dog cradling. And then this is another very easy way for me to trim those nails because they're right in front of my face. For the back nails, if you're flexible, you can grab them from this direction. What I will often do is lure the dog around this way. I know, I'm blowing your mind. Come here. Can I get you to turn this way? There we go. Lure her around so her nose is away from me. And then same thing, no, why did we do it? Lure her to flop onto her side and then give her a little boost so that she's upside down. And now I can trim those back nails nice and easily as well. Good job, kiddo. Peace. Very good girl. And you can also see another way to show that she was comfortable in that is that when I let her up, she stayed with me. She didn't feel like she needed to move away. She didn't feel like she needed to run off any extra energy or stress. She's happy to just stay here and say, how else can I get food rewards? Right? That's very nice. Okay. So that is the typical grooming routine. That is the ideal that we want to see. And then, like I said, I've got a couple of dogs in the wings that are a little more difficult. But let me see if we've got any additional questions here. All right. Is it okay to have the puppy roll first, then sit down around her to cradle? Sure. Whatever works for you. Again, as long as they're feeling cooperative and they're feeling comfortable with that, that's totally fine. Is it bad to give her treats when she's upside down? I want to watch her body language for that. If she is really stiff or really overly excited and she's sharking at those treats, that's where we might want to play it safe. You know what, maybe I'm not going to give you treats when you're in a cradle because I could go down the wrong hatch. The average dog is going to be fine. Again, as long as we're feeling pretty relaxed, we can eat some of those kibbles. For some dogs, it's too exciting to have food in a cradle and they just pop up. My girl Harmony is one of those. If I have food anywhere on me, we can't cradle because we can't think appropriately. So use your best judgment. And Lorna had the question about having the puppy roll first. So what that might look like. Good girl. So I could have her roll over. That roll command is super helpful for grooming for that purpose. I can reward her in that position, and then I could sit down here with her so that she's the one there first. That's totally fine. Good girl. Roll is one of our commands that we always expect that the dog is going to need some food, going to need some help, but it's super helpful for grooming if you need to check their belly for anything. Really, really great skill to practice. Another skill that comes in handy with grooming is stand. Because as you saw, when I had her up on the table here, it was easier for me to brush her when she was standing up. We'll see if she can do it up here all alone. We'll see. Stand. Yes. Oh. Oh. Stand. Yes. Good girl. And that's a fun way to practice that stand because it's a little different than being on the floor next to you. You have to have your timing just right. But then with having her up, that lets me brush her whole body, check those feet, whatever I need to do there. Very good. All right. Any other questions about our easy girl before we swap out for someone a little bit more excited? All right, excellent. I'm gonna swap out here. Come here, Grizzy. Yeah, you did so good. Okay. So this girl, so the one that I was just working with is one of our third semester dogs. So that means she's been here for a little while. And she's also been very easy with grooming from the beginning. The dog that I just went and got out of a crate is a first semester dog. So she came in from her puppy raiser less than a month ago. So she really does not have a relationship with me. She hasn't built much relationship with any of us here yet. So we are going to kind of see what is her natural inclination when it comes to grooming and see what we get from her. Good job. Great. Oh, good girl. We're very brave to jump all the way up there. So her body language is maybe a little bit more nervous than what we were seeing with the first dog. Let me move this over here a little more. Oops, you jumped off for me, kid. Hello. Good girl. She's still wanting to engage with me, but her tail wags are kind of low right now. It's still fine. She's not panicking. She's not trying to escape, get off this table or anything, but she's going, I don't know who you are. She's probably never been in this training room before because this is usually a room for the more advanced dogs. And again, she does not know me. We do not have a relationship here. I see what you do, huh? So I am going to let her check this out. Good girl. And I'm going to give her lots and lots of support as we go through our grooming here. What do you think? Yeah, don't mind the brushing. The brushing is one that most of them are fine with. You can see she might want to check it out. She says, what is that thing? Is it a toy? But she's staying nice and relaxed. She's hanging right with me. She's a good girl. Good job. You might be too easy. Your trainer told me you were wiggly, but so far you're a very good girl. So far you're a very good girl. Good job. So again, I am trying to engage her every step of the way. So I let her sniff this cotton before I'm going to put it in her ears. I'm also using lots and lots of food to try to keep her nice and focused on me. Good girl. Pick up that ear, give her another reward so that that's nice and positive. And you can see she does duck away some when I'm holding that ear. She's going, what the heck are you doing to me? Her paws are moving around. And that's okay. We're just going to stay nice and chill and calm and help her. Good girl. Good girl. Yay, nice job. Very good. Yes. So if I do have a pup that ducks away a little bit when I reach for him with the cotton, I can just hold my hand there and reward her for not ducking. And then maybe we get to the point where I can put my hand on her. Yay, I know. Yeah, so she doesn't love the ears being cleaned, is what I'm learning about her. She's not terrible. Again, she's not escaping. She's not trying to jump off the table. She's a little bit wiggly still. She's going, what are you doing? Let's play instead. But when I do go to grab those ears, a lot of times that head goes down. So what I would work on with her is even though I only have to clean her ears once a week, I'm going to practice it every day. And it's going to be, I'm going to hold your ear and I'm going to give you a piece of food and I'm going to let go. I'm going to hold your ear and give you a piece of food and then we let go. And then maybe I can touch your ear with the cotton, give you a piece of food, and it goes away. So that she starts learning that food comes out every time this thing comes near her ear. And you can see she still leans away a little bit. She's tipping her head, but even just doing that a few times, her reactions are much less dramatic. Good girl. Yes. Good job. Good girl. And I'm going to keep it easy for her. I'm not going to do the other side because, again, she just came in from her puppy raiser a couple weeks ago. She does not know me. Good girl. Same thing with brushing those teeth. I already used up our toothbrush, but we'll use the finger game. So I am going to see, can I lift up your lips? Good girl. And give her a reward for that. This is a great thing to practice with the puppies, is just playing with those lips. Good job. And can I stick that finger in there? And she doesn't love it. She's pawing at me. She's tossing her head around a little bit. So we'll do the exact same game of I touch your face, you get a reward. And maybe we'll use the toothbrush, but we won't put it in your mouth, kid. We'll use this end. Yeah. So I can touch her face with it. Good girl. Give her a reward. Good job. Yes. And then we would actually work up to actually having it in her mouth. That toothpaste is really yummy. That's going to help make it super positive for them because most of them are chicken flavored and they absolutely love that. And that's going to help her get even more confident with that as we go too. Good job. Let's see what you think about having your nails done, my love. So I am going to see how she does in a cradle. Good girl. Good job. I'm sure you guys can see me here. Yeah, this looks good. So again, I'm going to invite her into my space here. Hi. And I'm watching that body language. So right now, she's nice and relaxed. I'm getting tail wags, but she's kind of looking at me like, lady, what are you doing? Good girl. Good job. Giving lots and lots of rewards every step of the way. Now I'm going to see if we can flip onto that hip. Oh, what a nice girl. I think you're going to make a liar out of us and you're going to be good. Good job. So you can see she's a little more active than the first dog, but she's still cooperating. She might be one where having the food in the cradle is too exciting for her because she's starting to get sharky at my fingers. She's starting to get nibbly, where it might actually be a detriment to our progress instead of a help. But now that she's on her side here, we can give you a little support. Your dead weight, my love. There you go. That was pretty easy. That was pretty easy. Good girl. And then I'll see what happens when we hold that foot. Oh, you are making a liar out of us. Good job. Good girl. Hey, Dana. My nail clippers are too far away. Would you mind grabbing them for me? Please hold. So yeah, so she has actually, even in just the 2 weeks that she's been here, she has really settled the first time we evaluated her grooming, because this is much easier than what her trainer initially described that she was seeing, which is great because that shows that it was, her puppy raiser has clearly worked very hard on this and that it was more of a transitional stress where she kind of backslid. And now that she's settling in with us here, she's actually doing very, very well. Still, I'm going to support her every step of the way here. So every time she gets one of those nails trimmed, she's going to get a reward. Good girl. Good job. If she did pull back, I'm going to kind of gauge how much she's pulling back. If it's just a little bit of tension, I might give it a second and hold onto that foot and see if she calms. If she's really panicking, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to go a little bit slower with this process, and just me holding onto your foot as you bounce around at the end is not going to be helpful for either of us. Good job. Very good. You are easy, my love. Good girl. Good job. So I'm still going nice and slow with her. I don't need to rush through this. I want to make sure that she is getting rewarded every step of the way. Now that she has calmed down in my lap here, I feel more confident about giving her those food rewards. When she was getting into the cradle, she was so active and, you know, chomping at them that I would have been a little more nervous about choking, but she actually settled beautifully once she got into this position. Good girl. Oh, there's a little pull away. That's it. Okay. You are a very good girl. Did you know that? Yeah, you did know that. All right, we're going to finish up this paw here so that your trainer doesn't get confused later. Good girl. Well, that was easier than I expected, Munchkin. Good girl. Dana, you don't happen to have any that are stiffer with nails, do you? No, they're all good. Well, even though we're making everybody anonymous, kudos to this girl's puppy raiser because she is doing phenomenally. Oh, we've got one question here. Is it okay to use finger brushes for toothbrushing? Absolutely. If that's what's more comfortable for you, that is totally, totally fine. Here we go. We have another special guest joining us. So we will see how this girl does. You know, good girl. Juliet has brought in another one of our lovely pups here. And this girl has made phenomenal progress during her time here. But I asked Juliet to bring her in to kind of talk you guys through some of the steps that she took to get her here. If we had awards in professional training, she would 100% get most improved because she has made beautiful, beautiful progress during her time. But it was very slow. It was very methodical. Juliet was telling me this morning that it took 8 weeks before she could actually trim her nails. So that was very, very consistent work over the course of those 2 months to get to the point where now this dog is hopefully going to graduate, right, girlfriend? Yeah. All right. Yes, so we had a question here about trimming the back feet in a cradle. So I will do that real quick before we get our special guest in here. And then we also had the question about, we only use the Dremel on the nails on a grooming table. We do not cradle to do the nails. Is this okay? Yes. So that is also something that I wanted to make sure that we mentioned is that we do want you to practice the cradle if it's physically okay for you. If you have physical limitations where there isn't that safe for you, that's fine. Skip it. We will work on it in professional training. But nothing says that you have to do those two pieces together. And I can imagine that Juliet will probably tell us that she did have to work on those two pieces completely separately for this dog. Because if they're not comfortable with nails and are you all right? Yeah, there we go. If they're not comfortable with nails and they're not comfortable with cradling, we definitely don't want to put those two pieces together. That is not fair to you. That is not fair to the dog. We just want to work on one difficult thing at a time. So let me get her back in a cradle here real quick and I will show you guys those back nails. So like I said, if you're flexible, you can have them with their head facing this direction. I usually feel like I can't reach their nails very well in this direction. If I'm reaching way down here, that's quite a stretch. For some dogs it works. For some of them, you can scooch them up a little higher. If you are a larger person that has long arms, you might be able to reach down there. What I usually like to do, and I don't know if this dog has ever done this, is turn her around this way. There we go. Yeah. Roll into the cradle. And then these back nails are right in front of my face. And I can trim them right here. I have a little bit less control over her in this position because I don't have her head right near me. So this is a separate thing you'd want to work up to. She is being fantastic and just hanging right here with me while I do this. But not every dog is going to be able to do that right off the bat. Good job. And then since there was that question about the Dremel, mine unfortunately does not hold the charge anymore. But when you turn that on, got a little sandpaper head that goes around. So you can just touch it to their nail, let go. It does build up some heat as it moves. Oh, perfect. Oh, it does build up some heat, so I don't just want to hold it. So I'm going to let it grind, pick up my hand. Grind, pick up my hand. Is this one charged? Yeah. We'll see what she thinks about this. Good girl. Make sure that she's not nervous about the sound first. And then we'll grind it and let the heat dissipate. Dry, and let the heat dissipate. Good girl. Good job. Just like that over all those nails. If you're nervous about nail trimming, Dremels can be fantastic because it's really hard to go too far because you are just grinding a little, looking, grinding a little, looking, and you can stop before too much happens. Good job, ladies. You, my dear, were super easy. Good girl. All right, see what other questions popped up here. In last year's class, there was a Dremel demo where the handler holds the Dremel and the paw in the same hand so that the Dremel moves with the paw if it fidgets. There was no video save and I can't replicate it. Can you demo this? I don't know if I have ever done that. Does that sound familiar to either of you?
I was like maybe something Emily might know how to do.
Maybe, yeah. Yes, so Dave, if you happen to remember who ran that class, I would love to know because I don't think that is a technique that I have seen before. But it sounds interesting and I would like to know more.
Yeah, sorry, I don't remember who did it. Well, I know it was not you.
Right. Yeah. Well, I will ask around and see if we can get a video of that because that's interesting.
Yeah, it might have been Becca. I don't know. And it wasn't what they were doing was they were just, I think, putting a finger or two out against the paw to sort of stabilize the hand with the Dremel so that they would move together.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. So just kind of holding it all as one, so that if the paw moves, it all moves as a unit. Okay, okay. But yeah, I'll see if I can figure out who did that. I wanna hear more about that.
Okay, thank you.
And then I see that we have a hand up from Mary Clee.
Hi, yeah, I'm a physical therapist and also an aging puppy raiser. And I can like doing the hind nails in the regular cradle position is really bad for your back. And even if you don't have a back problem, it's not a good idea to do it that way. So I was glad to see that you turned them around. That's much easier on the body.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's easier on us, it's easier on them. I'm a big fan of flipping them around for that. Yeah. Right. And thank you for the physical input too. I haven't talked about that too much, but you're spot on. Okay, so I am gonna bring Juliet in here with our other girl. Oh, and we had one more question pop up. Do I need to teach both Clipper and Dremel? No, if there's one, if you can get them really comfortable with one, that is amazing. We will work on the other one in professional training. Find whichever one you feel most comfortable with and the dog feels most comfortable with. If you want to work on both, great, go for it. But definitely not mandatory. We will fill in any gaps that are left over. All right, I'm gonna put this girl back in her crate.
Okay, for the jump table?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Good girl. Sit. Sit. Good job. Good girl. Hello, everybody. My name is Juliet, and this is who I will call very cute monkey girl for today, with the best ears of all time. She is one of the dogs that I got who probably hated grooming the most out of all of the dogs that I have trained here. And it was a really good learning experience for me as a trainer. Like Susan said, it did take almost 2 months to where I could even clip her nail. So I will kind of just show you guys what I did.
We'll get the excitement out. We'll get the excitement out.
Susan's like, I didn't get to say hi to Susan, and I love her. Good choices. So like Susan said, I did have to separate the nails and the cradle. I actually separated those two for probably 4 months, 5 months. And we really just worked on like her being consenting and like willingly offering to be part of the process, and taking it really, really, really slow. And so, you know, for me as a human, I sometimes really just like want to go in there and groom my dogs, like, you know, as soon as I meet them and get them. But she was a great learning experience. So I'll kind of show you guys what I did. Valerie, down. Good job. So the first thing that I did was really just work on her giving me a paw. And I didn't even have nail clippers in the picture. I worked with some jerky because it's nice and soft and it's also a nice high value reward. So what we did was just kind of jump. Good. Pop. Thank you. Good girl. So she would just give me a paw and then she would get a treat. And at the beginning, she was so hesitant because she really didn't want her paws touched at all. So this was all that we did for a couple of weeks. Down. Good girl. Pop. Yes. Good girl. After we got there, what I started doing was bringing in the nail clippers. She already had a pretty conditioned negative emotional response to these, which meant that when she saw them, she said, oh no, everything is ending. The world is over. I do not want those anywhere near me. So what I did was I just took the nail clippers and I put them on the floor and then we would give her a treat. I'd take them away, she'd get a treat. So just basically saying like good things happen when you see the nail clippers. Then they would be kind of off to the side a few feet from us. Paw. Good girl. And we would do the paw. If she wasn't able to give me the paw because she was too fixated on this, we would take a step back. So these would go further away or they'd go away all the way. So again, that was a couple of weeks of doing that. Then we got to the point where she had such a positive experience with it that I could start touching her with the nail clippers. And so what that looked like, I still wasn't clipping a nail, but what I did was I came in and I just kind of brought them closer to her and tapped on her nail. And then as I tapped, I marked that with a yes. So yes, while the scary thing is happening, and then yes means you're getting a treat in a minute. So that kind of looks like this. Pop. Good. Yes, good girl. Nice work. Pop. Yes, good girl. The longer I did this, the more I could start holding the nail clippers there instead of just taking them and taking them away right away. I could actually hold them there and have her continue with her paw. At the beginning, you know, it was a lot of this game going on, where if you tried to take her paw, she was like, I'm going to get that back. I do not want to get my nails clipped. And then we got to the point where I could actually clip her nails. Paw. Girl. Good job. Oh, did I go too fast? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Good job. Yeah. So there, I tried to go for a second nail. She said, no, thank you. You didn't feed me. So I backed up and I did a tap, and that's fine. I'm going to just stay. It's really important too. I have to try really hard to not get frustrated. I think that's a big thing for us when we're grooming, is that we get frustrated and then the dog gets frustrated and then they don't want to do it and we don't want to do it and it becomes like a battle. So just really trying to make it like the most positive thing possible. Thank you. Yes, good girl. And there we go. She says, I got it cooked, so I get a treat. And that was pretty much what we did. I also sometimes would do it in a stand. So release. Good job. This was a little bit easier on the back as well. If you can't cradle, did you already show this?
Go right ahead, yeah, because I did with one of our easy girls,
Okay.
but we'd love to see what it looks like with her.
Okay. So in a stand, I can either be sitting here next to her or I can be standing. If you have a dog who you think might need a little more support, you can kind of like almost like hold on to them. And I'm not like holding her here. I'm just kind of supporting. You know? So I would do a tap. Yes, good girl. And she says, I love jerky. That's my favorite thing in the world. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, good girl. And just a little clip. The back paws, she's a little bit more sensitive with. So that, you know, we worked a lot on the front paws. The back paws, I do the same thing. I kind of just like lift them up behind her. She says, please don't touch my paw. And then attack, yes. And then give it back to her. Yeah, so that's what I did with nails. Are there any questions or anything you wanted to add?
Questions here. If it is a 2-month process, don't her nails get too long before you can trim them?
Yes, but what I was taught was that it is more important to make sure that the dog is having a positive experience. And hi, kiddo. Good girl, nice work. I was taught that it's more important to make sure that the dog is having a positive experience. Unless their nails are to the point where they're like curled over into the paw pad and like they cannot walk without causing pain. More important, focus on making sure the dog is consenting to the process and having a good time, because in the long run now, she's going to be able to she can go to other trainers, she can go to clients and graduates who will be able to clip her nails, and she'll say, I love this because for 2 months, I just got to like have treats. And it might not take you 2 months, it might take less time, it might take more time. You know, if you start from the very beginning with a very young puppy and you really work on consent building, then you may not get to the point where they have this negative of reaction. But either way, I'm working with the dog I have in front of me. So that's what was more important to me than getting her nails clipped every time. And like maybe I'd clip 1 or 2 nails, or I'd clip a paw, and then next week I'd work on something else. Good question.
Have you ever used an emery board to warm them up before using the clippers? I've been doing this with new puppies with much success. I don't know if we tend to do that in professional training much, but there's certainly no problem with that at all. It's definitely a great kind of in-between process, very similar to doing just the tapping or a really, really light Dremel. Really, any of those things where you can split it into those little baby steps are absolutely fantastic. Feel free to get creative with it. The biggest thing, like Juliet was saying, is that it's far more important to get to that level of comfort than to worry about, I have to get your nails trimmed right now.
Yeah.
Right, girlfriend? Do you want to show us how her cradling is coming along?
Yes, I would love to. Also, a note for those of us with bad backs. I broke my back last year and had to get very creative with how I do things. So I would sit on an orthopedic dog bed anytime that I cradle a dog. I still do it. So if that's more comfortable for you than sitting on the hard floor, feel free to do that.
Do you want me to grab one of those, or are you okay for the, it's up to you?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Alrighty. Everyone see me?
Yep, you're good.
All right. So again, when I first got this girl, she really said no thank you to grooming. So what we would work on, good job. What we would work on is me sitting in a cradle position and her existing in my space, and she would get rewarded for it. Because she didn't want to come anywhere near here because she said, you're probably going to flip me into a cradle and I don't want that. She would do something like this, where she would lay on my leg, she would stand over my lap, she'd get rewarded for that. Little baby steps, however much we could get to her, where I was pushing her a little bit, so we were taking a step forward, but I was never like pushing her to a point where she was walking away from it, saying like, I didn't like that, it was scary. And completely moved at her pace. Again, you know, this took many months. The point of where it is today, I take a nice little kibble lure, as I'm sure Susan showed you guys, nose magnet. So that's going to kind of draw her over. Down. Good girl. I'll put her in a down right here. And then I'm using that roll, but I'm really mostly just luring her. So what I'm really looking for is I'm going to draw this from the nose. And I'm looking for the back leg to pop up. Because when the back leg pops up, that's kind of when the rest of the body rolls. So it looks something like this. I would hold the leash. I have the leash. She says I want the jerky, please. Okay. Roll. Yeah. Yeah, good girl. So that back leg popped up, so I gave her a reward. Roll. Yeah. Yes, good girl. Nice job, honey. There, I was able to get her to stay a little bit longer. Down. Kind of just holding that jerky in front of her face. Roll. Yes, good job, honey. You're so far away, my goodness. Yeah. So. Yes, good job. Nice work. So there I kind of just adjusted her. I did not pull her. She was already up. I kind of just flopped her so that she was in between my legs. But as you'll see, her tail is happy and loose. She's, you know, maybe in a yellow to green position right now. She's pretty happy. She knows that she's getting rewards. Kind of just hang out, give her some nice belly rubs here. And, you know, at the beginning, like, this was it. Oh my gosh, you did it. Good job. And then I would give her a release. You know, the beginning, the tail would be a little bit more like a taut tail. Her legs were a little bit stiff. She might like wiggle a little bit, but she's learned that she gets lots of treats and rewards for this. And now to the point where, you know, you can hold her paw. You could bring the nail clippers into the picture. You could tap a nail, and then you could even clip a nail. But again, this took many, many, many months, and she gets to be the one to tell me how much she's comfortable with. She might have done it 1 week, and then the next session or the next week, she says, no, thank you. I absolutely am not doing that. So I don't push it, and I just take what she wants to give me that day. And I really have to just work on not saying, you should be doing this, or I know that you can do this because you have done it in the past. Really just have to take like what she's giving me that day. So sorry if I talked too much.
No, that was beautiful. All right, let's see if we had any additional questions here. Let's see. We've got a reminder that breeder caretakers do their nails all the time before they come to the raisers. Yes, so they have had their nails trimmed several times before they even arrive to you guys. And I will tell you from personal experience that there's nothing scarier than trimming the nails of a 2-day-old black puppy with those little black nails. Very, very tiny, very, very difficult. When puppy was 8 to 10 weeks old, I used cat clippers so I could see the tiny nails easier. Yes, and that is actually, again, as a breeder caretaker, that is how I trimmed all of Harmony's puppies' nails, was with little cat clippers. They're very delicate, they're very lightweight. You don't have to get a pair of them because they will outgrow them pretty quickly, but hey, if you want to, they're very cheap and it does make it pretty easy to see exactly what you're doing. I have a 10-week-old puppy. Is starting roll okay? Yes, absolutely. You can start roll right away. Like Juliet was saying, starting from the beginning, getting that cooperation, getting that consent from day one is far easier than waiting until a problem develops and then realizing that you have to go back and fix it. Because like we said, there were a couple of months where she didn't get her nails trimmed. She did not get into that cradle position at all. But in the short term, it was better for her to temporarily have long nails and be able to then consent with it for the rest of her life than to force her to get those nails trimmed and never have her consent for the rest of her life.
Yeah, she loves it.
Now she loves it. Yeah, she's all plugged down here being a very good girl. I joined late and I see this is being recorded. Where will it be available? So all of our recorded classes are, if you go on the Canine Companions community, look for the puppy class recordings tab, and they are on the national playlist. Occasionally we have a technological glitch and not every single one gets up there, but the vast majority of recorded classes are on that national playlist. When the first 2 dogs were having nails clipped, they offered paws. Is that solicitous or an aversion behavior? How do we give treats? How do we know? It could be a little bit of both. In those cases, especially with the first dog, I knew from the trainer that she was very cooperative with nails. I don't have a problem with her offering that behavior if the rest of her body language is nice and loose. For some dogs, it does become, oh, don't do other things, just hold my paw, just hold my paw. But that's where you've got to look at that individual dog's body language in that moment. And that might be a good step one is, okay, I'm going to hold your paw in this position because maybe that's a way for them that they can show that they're offering that consent. Like Juliet was saying, that's how she started out with Monkey Girl here. We call her Monkey Girl.
Cute ear monkey girl.
Cute ear monkey girl. So that if she was willing to put her paw in Juliet's hand, that was her saying, we can continue with this session. And if something got a little bit too intense where she did not feel like she could offer that paw to Juliet and it wasn't safe, that was her saying, I don't feel safe right now. We can't continue with this session. You can also do that with eye contact with some puppies. Of if they're willing to stay engaged with you and they're willing to offer that eye contact, that's them saying, yes, we can continue. And if they're, you know, looking away, ducking the head, not really wanting to look at you, that's them saying, I'm withdrawing my consent. I'm not comfortable moving forward right now. And so much of this is about listening to the dog's signals and respecting the dog's signals and going at their pace rather than the pace that we want to go at. All right, let's see if we.
Shitting on your dog.
Yes, don't should on your puppy. Any final questions for Juliet before we set her free?
Why is she so cute and why are her ears
Why is she
fluffy?
so cute?
Good question. She was born like this.
Maybe she was born this way. Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for your demonstration. Nice job, kiddo. You get the most improved gold star of the day. She says, yeah, heck yeah, I do.
All right, thank you guys. Good luck with your grooming adventures. Yours?
Those might be mine, but we can sort it out. I'll be wrapping up in a couple minutes. All right. So the big theme, like we said, is consent, cooperation, getting that buy-in from that puppy to try to make it as positive as possible. Let's see. Do you always use treats to groom? Almost always, yes. You may have the very rare occasion that that dog becomes what we kindly call food stupid. That can be Harmony sometimes. You guys have seen how enthusiastic she gets in some of our classes, where having the food there becomes too exciting, too much distraction, too much energy, where maybe just some quiet praise is better in that case. But for most dogs, that food reward is really fantastic to help them focus, to show us that they are in that green zone or maybe a little in that yellow zone. If we get to a point where a puppy is refusing to take treats or they're trying to chomp off your arm to take that treat, that is a really good signal for you that their emotional state is getting kind of out of whack. And that might be, okay, you know what? Now that you're trying to bite my fingers off every time you take a treat, we need to back it down. We need to make it easier for you. Will they have to have treats in the graduate's home? So we do recommend that. Like we send graduates home with a bait bag. We send them home with food rewards. We let them know when it is appropriate, when it's not appropriate to use those food rewards. Grooming is something that it's a good idea to continue with it because it is something that can easily become a negative experience for the dog. Not every graduate is physically going to be able to keep up with the food rewards in the same way. And that's something we'll work with them on in team training and even beyond in the graduate home. But there are a lot of behaviors, including grooming, that we encourage them to keep using those food rewards for. All right, making sure I didn't miss anything else here. Can they take the dog to a groomer? Yeah, so we do have some graduates that will take them to a groomer. It can be hard to find a good groomer. And this is a good info for puppy raisers as well, because I know sometimes we do have raisers that take them to groomers. Try to find out what methods that groomer uses. Some of them are wonderful and they do, look for those consent signals. They're willing to use food rewards. They're willing to go at the dog's pace. Others are a little bit more old school. They're just going to force the dog. They're just going to get it done. Same thing with veterinary offices that will offer a complimentary program. Do your best to get your research on that. What are the methods that they're using? Or are they taking the puppy to the back and they've got 3 vet techs sitting on top of them so that somebody can trim their nails? Because in some cases, they're used to working with pet dogs who have not had any of this positive training, and they have to just get it done because the owner is not going to work on it at home. Versus we very, very, very much prefer we are going to work on it at home. We are going to make all of these baby steps. And even if I then need to bring in the help of a friend, a family member, a groomer, another puppy raiser in my chapter, whatever that might look like, that we can still keep it down that positive path instead of throwing the dog off the cliff. Nope, too bad. You have to have this done now. And now we've undone all of our fantastic progress that we made. I have fell into that with my release girl, Trusty. She came from a guide dog organization. She wasn't brought up in canine companions. She was also the first puppy that I ever raised, and I was really, really bad at teaching her how to have her nails trimmed. By the time she turned in for professional training, it was fine. She would let me do it. We did have some consent. We did have some cooperation. But I know now, even seeing her now as she's about to turn 10, as a 10-year-old dog, I look back and say, you know what, if I had done this differently when you were little, you would be much more comfortable with this now. And now she's at the point we have some arthritis and things that our options are limited. But again, if I had done it right from the beginning, it would be a very, very different situation than what I'm working with 10 years down the road. And that's my fault. And that's okay. Like I said, we've gotten to the point where we have some cooperation, we have some consent, but it could have been so much better. All right. Any final questions before we wrap up for today? All right, looks like we're good. Thank you guys for joining. Like I said, for anybody who's raising a fluffy, or if you're just interested in learning more about fluffy grooming, we do have a video on the community about how to groom those long-haired dogs and how to do some of that trimming. But thank you again for joining. And if you're feeling like you're running into a wall with that nail trims, please don't hesitate to reach out to your puppy program manager. We are happy to help. All right, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Thanks, guys.